Today's topic is called the supplement switch, and it is something that Phil and we get together and chit chat like, what should we do our next Zoom? And we thought this was really cool because there's so many supplements, right? You go to the health food store and there's aisles upon aisles upon aisles, and what to choose and what to take. So, do we know if we're serving them correctly, what we're taking? So, we want to clear out some of the confusion and support you and also save money because I think nowadays that's a really important part. Like, can we save? Can we substitute? Can we swap for things that may be even more effective than what you're already taking? So, Phil, like you said, he's a financial planner. His other name is Mr. Talky Talk, but because he loves to talk about health, and he was helping his clients improve their blood work so they could qualify for insurance and medical. And he is like master researcher. So, and he has experienced his own autoimmune challenges. So that sent him like in a deep dive to discover what he can do to better his health. And that's how he also found this company that we're going to be talking about later, some of the supplements, to see if that's something that uh, will be of benefit to you. So off you go, Phil, to explaining us a little bit about the science of what's behind the supplements.
Okay, so that's me. Yeah, financial planner. Loved what I did. And interesting enough, when I used to help clients with their investments, what have you, I would end up talking about health. So if the meeting was an hour, it was like 55 minutes on health and 5 minutes on investment. So it's kind of interesting. And that's how my passion sort of grew. A bit of a more of a backstory. The reason why I do what I do, many years ago, I actually lost some brothers to cancer. And just everything changed with me because it didn't make sense. I mean, I had to see my parents switch off the machine because he just basically had a hemorrhage in the brain. Never made sense to me. Now I read and read and read and read lots and lots of books. And I came across many books and I started looking at this. Maybe we need to look at other ways to heal the body from within. And then I actually got my own autoimmune challenges. I actually got psoriasis many years ago. Also, again, I love the medical professionals, but for some reason, they just said, there we go. That's your label. You're stuck with that. Off you go. And you're just going to have to live with it. Me being me, I won't say the words I'm thinking of at the time, but I go, I'm going to change the narrative. And what I did my own research, did a couple of crazy things. And within about 7 days, I managed to reverse my psoriasis, disappeared. As time went on, I got another condition, skin condition was called vitiligo. It's loss of pigmentation on the skin. So we call it Michael Jackson's disease, MJSD. I wasn't black going white, I was white going whiter. So for me, again, they all said, oh, there we go. You can't change that. You're stuck with it. And I go, nah, there's something not right here. My immune system's out of whack. And over time and distance, I actually am nearly reversed that condition. Even the hair under my arms went totally white. It's now gone dark again. It's quite interesting. And so for me, the body can heal when given the best chance and best environment to do that. So that's what I want to share with you today. So this is why I transitioned from being a financial planner to now helping many people all across the globe doing helping them reverse symptoms of their autoimmune conditions. Because I always say this one thing: your body's not that stupid to attack itself. It's kind of smart, right? I don't think there's your body's attacking itself. It's kind of a weird narrative. When you can get that environment to heal a body, we're winning. And that's where I'll share more later on why I find these products, what we're going to talk about at the end as well, why they make so much sense. But before we start, I want you to think outside the box. Okay. If this cat just kept looking forward, guess what happens? Nothing's going to happen. So if it jumped left or right, it's going to get outside the box. So I want you to think like that as well. And because it has to be simple, I don't think health is that complicated. It's really basic. There's so much confusion out there. And I don't know if anybody is sitting here in the situation, and I called it, well, before we get to this slide, this is health, right? When you're young, you can eat anything, do anything, play against the rules, and then you'll start getting out of whack and you get way out of balance. And guess what happens? Yeah, comes a health condition, no matter what it is. It just shows up in whatever part of the body it does. And then we try to pull all these things in and take all these supplements, lotions, potions, and pills, what have you, and try to get our body balanced. And hopefully it works. And then we end up having this big, massive box of supplements. And before you know it, you end up having this thing called the supplement cemetery. Okay. Many people, when I say this, I'm not here to offend anybody because that was me. With my health condition, I was researching and gone on and on and on and on. Didn't stop. I came obsessed with it. And I think maybe you have to have some obsession to get something right. But then sometimes this can be you. Who do you know has got a cabinet like this? Or sometimes you can have a cabinet like that. I've seen this. I've seen it on and on again. And before you know it, I mean, I was in a call with a client quite a while ago, and she goes, I thought I saw this thing on TikTok and I went and bought this. I saw this thing on Facebook and I bought this. So people are trying to put all these different strings and trying to throw darts into the cells to go, hopefully, goodness, these things stick. This is what happens often. I see this so often with clients are spending a fortune of money. And let's be honest, put a 1 in the chat here. Who wants to try, get their health back on track, at the same time, increase their bottom line? I mean, this to me, I talk money all the time. It's just money's like oxygen. We all need it. But, you know, and then there's, Joan saying, I had 3 cupboards full. My gosh. And that's coming from someone who, Joan, is very, very smart and also down the whole route of science. So there's all these things, but they think of like baking a cake. We want to get the flavor of the cake at the end. It tastes good, right? But it's all those ingredients. Everybody's chasing, oh, this ingredient's better than that one. This one's better than this one. This one's that. I like to look at it like this and say, it's not about the ingredients. It's about the recipe. And that's what I talk about more later on as well. So, and the thing is, people still do this and they're still not well. Doesn't make sense to me. I always like to say you need to take ancient wisdom, modern day science, and smack together with some common sense. And no offense to anybody, right? This is what we need to do. So we need both. We need Eastern medicine and Western medicine. Now I'm going to touch on a little bit of oxidative stress, and I like to call it like an apple. You put an apple on the counter, it's all good. You cut it in half or even not, and that apple will sit at the counter for as long as it needs to, and it gets affected by these free radicals and goes brown. Over time and distance, eventually goes rotten. That process is happening if you breathe. If you're on this planet and you're breathing, you've got 2 legs or 4 legs, you're breathing, you are affected with oxidative stress. Fact. If you lived on a Himalayan mountain, doesn't really matter, you're still going to get oxidative stress, irrespective. But you want to slow this process down. My son hasn't got gray hair. I have. I'm sitting in the middle here. I want to make sure I don't move to this side, but you're all going to get there. But let's slow it down. This apple's affected with so many factors. It's affected by you microwaving your food, you sitting on a cell phone all the time, Wi-Fi, pesticides, herbicides, fuel, batteries, air, toxic air. If you're exercising too much, it can also be bad for you. Again, it takes in small snippets, right? So we still got to move the body, but you don't want to be excessive. So if somebody's an athlete, they've got more oxidative stress than anybody else. Again, in your water, all these things here are affecting you as an apple, and you're now slowly breaking down. And this is free radical damage. And then we go run around and go, hang on, I need to take this multivitamin, all these other things. But we want to turn it around and get it so we can actually get the body to make it from within. Now, I love science as well. And if you go to a website, pubmed.gov, it's basically public medical record. You can go in there and there's about 36 or 35 million medical citations, peer-reviewed medical citations. And, you know, if you want to go here and go, let's go type in oxidative stress, and these numbers are maybe 1 or 2 weeks out, that's what you'll see. Now, if anybody is sitting here and they go, hang on, oxidative stress, and let's go type in a particular health challenge. I'm not going to say any of them, but I want you to go do this. And those numbers will go from 370,000, might go to 20,000 or 5,000 or 6,000 or even 100. That just means whatever the health condition you put in there, there may be a possible link with oxidative stress. So when I looked at this with my health condition, I typed in a particular skin condition I had, and I saw there's a link. So I had to make sense. What if I can reduce oxidative stress? And that's what the avenue went down. But now if you look at oxidative stress and free radical damage, type in the 2 here. If you're anybody that's got any of these things listed here, brain challenge, blood vessel issues going in there with osteoarthritis, is another one, inflammation, skin issues. We're all aging. We've all got oxidative stress if we're aging. Chronic issues, rheumatoid arthritis, lung issues. And there's even the big C, we call it, is also linked to that because that's body breaking down. So I'm seeing there's some numbers pop in there. We all know someone, or we know ourselves have been affected with this as well. And again, if it's affecting you on 2 legs, it's affecting your little pets on 4 legs. And they're actually more prone to more oxidative stress than any human anyway, because they are smaller. So their bodies can't handle the damage in the environment. Now, this is something I like to teach on the side here. It's what I share with most of my clients. And when we have this thing called, I call it cellular desperation, your cells cannot breathe. Now, what happens here, when the cell's hard, no nutrients can get in. You can take all the most amazing organic food, do the whole thing, the most amazing high quality supplements, do your thing. I can tell you now, they're not going to get absorbed so well because you want to get nutrients into the cell and you want to get waste out the cell. Now, how do we get that cell nice and soft and squishy like a sponge? I'll share that a couple minutes later. This is what we want to do. So people are taking all these things in, trying to get them in, and the body's not absorbing them. So there's a saying I say to people, it's not what you eat, it's what you absorb. You'll find when you get this thing moving and the cells getting nice and soft and squishy like a sponge, your cells can breathe properly, cellular respiration, the cell membrane is nice and soft. You get the nutrients in, they waste and come out. That's what you want to do. That there's efficiency. So when you're absorbing more nutrients, guess what happens? You eat less food. This is a common thing I see all the time here. It's called cellular respiration. Your cells are breathing. Look it up. Not many people talk about this here. But the thing is here, what I always get with people say, you know what, let's do this. How do we get that cell membrane soft? So if you think of your head and you're knocking your finger on your head, it's not going to get anything in it, right? Because the cell membrane is soft. But you want to soften that. What I do with people, the most easy thing you can do here is take some flax seeds or chia seeds, or flaxseed oil or chia seed oil or walnuts. That actually softens the cell membrane. And you can see the things what it does there to help basically get the body in better shape. And those people who I work with, I get them to take sometimes up to a cup of flax seeds a day. It's a lot. We don't have to go that way. There are different ways to do it. But the bottom line is your brain needs fat. I've seen people go on a fat-free diet, dangerous. You need some fat. Your brain's fat. That needs it. And I always like to say to people, a walnut looks like your brain. If you open the nut, it looks like a brain. As I said to people, maybe you need nuts when you go nuts. So you need that for your brain function. So that's something you can do. And just keep this in mind. You want to soften that cell membrane as well. So the thing is, we have choices what we want to do. Do you want to go the pharmaceutical route, or do you want to go the natural route? Now, I'm not saying either one is good or bad. Generally, most people prefer to go the natural route. If you want to go the pharmaceutical route, fill your boots. We need both. So if there's anybody who's on certain medications, I always say to them, check with your medical professional to see how you can find a way to possibly reduce them or come off them. But you've got to be smart about it. So we want to talk about this thing called nutrigenomic activators. Now, when we talk of this here, nutrigenomics, you can read it quickly and I can say it here. It's a study of nutrients, how nutrients interact with genes, and how individual genetic differences can affect your requirements and how you respond to vitamins, minerals, and compounds and food to eat. Nutrigenomics is one of the most exciting, revolutionary, and cutting-edge field in nutrition, genetics, and modern medicine. And when I said early on, it's about ancient wisdom, modern-day science, and stuck it together some common sense. Nutrigenomics is a big deal. There's so many guys studying it right now. They're all talking about, you need to take these certain things to get into the cells, but nobody's talking about activation. And activation is getting your cells to do what they're meant to do when they're younger. That's essentially next generation genomics, which is all nutrigenomics. There's so many articles written about it. Now, the company is LifeVantage. For those of you who don't know what LifeVantage is, they are the activation company. When we talk about activation, it's getting your cells to do what they're meant to do. So who's LifeVantage? I was on a webinar actually a couple of days ago, and I actually really had to chew on this quite well because we're now debt-free. Now, when you mean debt-free, there's no debt. I mean, if you talk of debt-free with any company, because they are a public company. Now, in the financial aspect of things, you have private companies and public companies. So a private company, and don't be offended when I say this, it's like walking down Wall Street and you're hiding your bits because you're naked, right? Because you want to hide your privates. They cannot see your financials. They cannot see who's earning what money, what have you. They can't see your balance sheets, liabilities, and assets. If you look at a public company, that's walking down Wall Street, totally naked. Everybody can see everything what's going on with you and the company. So when I'd rather be associated with a public company as opposed to a private company, private companies can change the rules. They list on the NASDAQ. They've just actually acquired another company recently. There's a lot of cool things happening on there. And everyone's now, what are they doing? Because we are taking things on a whole new level here. People want to talk about activation. We've been around since about, I think, 2005, if my numbers are right. And people are only knowing now about it. And they still don't know about it. So when you look at it, it's super powerful. But the most easy thing to realize, what is supplementation versus activation? Simply think of that as your cell. And now we're trying to throw supplements into these dartboards or these archery boards. That's supplementation. Activation is actually getting your cells to do what they're meant to do. So it's getting your body to wake up the cells from within. It's a very, very cool way to look at it here. Now, the company's got lots of product ranges. We can go through all of them. We're not going to go there. We're just going to focus on basically two of them mainly and touch on one other one as well. There's heaps of them. There's a, talk about the NRF2 activator to reduce inflammation. There's a skincare range. There's a nootropic range. I drink this every day. It helps you with my busy brain, as I call it. It calms me down. I can share so many stories on that. There's even a collagen as well. But get back to the person who invited you if you know more about the other products. But let's just focus on this particular one here, Protandim NRF2. When the company started, this was the only product they had. And they did a whole lot more research and developed more and more and more and more. This is the foundation. Now, when I talk about health, is that think of it like a house. You want to build a house with a solid foundation. Then the walls, doors, and windows can be solid. Then when you close the doors, they're going to close properly. They're not going to get stuck. So if your foundation is built on sand, I can tell you now, the walls, doors, and windows are going to happen. This is what I like to look at, what Protandim NRF2 is. It gets your body to produce its own antioxidants from within. Not 1 to 1, 1 to 1 million per second every day. That is powerful. And from one of the ladies on the medical advisory board, she was saying that this product here does between 80 to 100 supplements function. I'd rather take one of those instead of a whole lot of the other ones. So there's that supplement symmetry. You can stick it out there. We don't want that. And the thing is here, NRF2 activation, what's kind of cool, I actually read this study when I was on a flight one day and everybody was sleeping. And I was like, wanting to wake them all up because, man, I just found something really interesting. And they talk about NRF2 activating foods in the study. It was omega-3s, greens, and sweet potatoes, or sulforaphones is another one. And it was interesting. I've been sharing this with people for years and years and years. So when I looked at the food when I have with people and go, yeah, this is complementary. So it's kind of cool when you can look at it together. But they said here, it's the most extraordinary therapeutic and preventive breakthrough in history medicine. I'm a skeptic. I'm originally from South Africa. I'm a big skeptic. So I study, and ask lots of questions. That to me is gold. And you can actually go get that study and take a look at it. When you look at dietary antioxidants versus your body making its own. Now, let's be honest here. To try and combat all the stuff we're dealing with right now in the environment, I can tell you now, you've got to eat all of this every day. And let's be honest, if you just add the blueberries over there, 110 cups of blueberries, number one, costs you a fortune. Number two, you look like Papa Smurf. You go blue eventually. You don't want that. And, remember, Papa was right. Spinach does give you muscles and strength. This is what we got to do nowadays. In the next 10 years, I think it's going to be more than that. But what they did when Protandim NRF2 came out, there was ABC Primetime. They actually heard about Protandim and they wanted to discredit it. So they decided, we're going to go do this whole thing, get the bloods done. They checked it out. And what they found, they put people on Protandim NRF2. After 30 days, their levels of oxidative stress went from here down to here, and they couldn't really differentiate whose blood was whose, whether they're 20, 40, 60, or 80. It actually went right the way down. It's quite powerful. And that's when one of the best things happened to the company. When that was aired, everything went crazy. And that's how it moved into what we do today. And that was 2005. This is 20 years later. And there's still not many people know about this. I speak to so many practitioners. They never heard about it. It's interesting. And when we look at Protandim NRF2, is that we can say it lowers oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. The FDA allows it to say that, which is kind of neat. Now, it also increases superoxide dismutase, catalase glutathione. Glutathione is a big buzzword. A lot of people saying you need to take something called NAC. NAC is a supplement out there that a lot of people are prescribing. Yes, it's good, and it tries to get your body to make glutathione. We're actually getting it here increasing by 300%. Now, the cool thing is all these ingredients at the bottom here, if you eat food, I'm pretty sure you can take Protandim NRF2. Now, I've had people say to me, Phil, I can just go buy all these ingredients myself. It's like, yeah, you can do that. The thing is, there's such a small amount of these ingredients in here because together they're the recipe activated a lot better. And I think the numbers were maybe Joan can actually put it in the thing. I think it was 18 times more. I can't remember the exact amount in it. But supplements can be toxic as well. If you take too much of it, it can be detrimental to your health. I mean, if you took too much turmeric, it's highly, highly toxic to the body. So here we're in small amounts and activating the recipe to get your body to do all these things over here. So it's pretty neat when you look at it here. What got my attention here, when I first looked at these products, I wanted to discredit it. So I went looking. I found out that they've got 7 USA patents on the products. Internationally, there's 13. The first six USA patents spoke about oxidative stress reducing in a mammal. It's like, well, I'm in a mammal. There we go. It makes sense. Now, when there's a patent, they sort of say, we are sort of half telling you this may happen. Then what got my attention even more, there was another one I looked at, a reduction of C-reactive protein. For those who don't know what it is, when you get your blood work done, it's usually called CRP, it's an inflammation marker. When I see this here, this got my attention more than anything, because if you can say this can reduce CRP, that is telling me your bloods will obviously have a big difference, and it's telling me you're reducing inflammation. That was one of the biggest reasons why I actually took a big look at this here. And I've monitored people's blood work, and I see numbers change when they come on the product. Remember, everybody's different. I always say to people, if you're 60, take it for a minimum of 6 months to see change. If you're 40, take it for 4 months. But yeah, so the thing is here, if you go to PubMed, type in NRF2, you'll find these studies, type NRF2 and your health issue, or if it's there or not there, you'll still know the link between inflammation. I've been on so many summits. I've been asked to go on podcasts, and everyone's talking about inflammation, mitochondrial dysfunction all the time. Nobody knows what to really do with it because we're looking for solutions, right? But let's simplify this, make it so simple. I like to say, like a 5-year-old can understand it. So how does NRF2 actually work in the body? There's a mammal cell, that's you, right? Now that mammal cell, you'll know my age, Pac-Man, remember that game? You stand in the store and play Pac-Man and put your coins in the machine. Now, those are the bad dudes, little ghosty guys. They are free radicals, cause inflammation, get stuck in the cell wall. The body has its own NRF2 little kickstart, and basically it's like an annoying little child that bangs on the door, bangs on the nucleus door and said, hey, we need to make some antioxidants because you've got some inflammation in the house. That's what it does. That is pretty simple. Now, remember when in the first couple of slides we're speaking there, we noticed that all these other things in the environment are making us unwell. This is going to get worse and worse and worse. So if you think of this, we would not be able to take these things 100 years ago because we never had this all going on, right? But now the thing is, how does Protandim actually work? We've got way too many free radicals causing way too much inflammation. This is what's happening. Can't get away from it. Then we need to activate that NRF2 protein in the body to bang on the nucleus's door and says, hey, we've got way too much inflammation in the house. Now let's please produce some more antioxidants so we can now find a way to stop gobbling up the ghosty guys, and therefore we can eventually start reducing inflammation in the body. It's never going to get rid of it totally 100%, but it's got a better chance of doing that than taking heaps and heaps of supplements. Rather leave them in the cemetery. Okay, so this is the thing here. This is what Protandim does. And most health challenges all link back to inflammation. But now what's also interesting, that little nucleus in the little guy over there, that's your ATP production. When we talk about ATP, I like to say those are batteries in your cells, because when your batteries are flat, you're going to feel exhausted like that dude at the bottom over there. So we want to make sure that we can reduce, because when our inflammation is high, our energy level is low. And what happens, our mitochondria can't function so well. Now, that little funny little squiggly guy there, that's a mitochondria in the cell. When inflammation's high, mitochondria can't function. So what do we got to do? Let's find a way to deal with the mitochondria. We want to wake those guys up. And how do we do that? We need to reduce inflammation and kickstart our mitochondria. That's essentially what happens. If you can do that, your energy levels within your cells start to wake up, and you're going to feel a whole lot better, like that lady at the bottom there. Get some energy. Now, I'm talking about energy from your core center of your cells. I'm not saying you're going to jump out of bed or bright out a bushy tail. I'm saying your cells are going to do that. Because remember, one mitochondria is linked to a cell, to more cells, to an organ, to a body system, and you. So we've got to start from the foundation. That's why mitochondrial function is one of the most important things. And they do 3 things, mitochondria: help you absorb nutrients, help you produce energy, and most importantly, help your body heal. There's many more things it does, but those are 3 basic things that mitochondria do. So you get those things right. I've seen people's that their food intake actually reduces. So therefore I go, oh, hang on, if you're eating less food, you're absorbing more nutrients. Number 1, that's better for you. Number 2, by actually activating your body, you're essentially going to save money. So you may actually be switching things out. You're going to have less food. It's going to cost you less. Protandim NRF1, what's interesting here, increases cellular energy, ATP, slows the aging process down, your sleep quality is better, but the key thing here, boosts mitochondria production, your energy center of your cells, and wake them up. Don't get too caught up in ingredients that essentially here, they're very small amounts there, and that together they work better, because it's not the ingredients, it's a recipe that we're chasing. So I'm going to stop doing the talky talk. I'm going to hand it off to Lillian, but let me just introduce her. We actually met on Zoom. Yes, I have more than just a top part. I've got some legs. We actually met on Zoom, and we physically met each other in Croatia, one of the company events that we attended. I had, did some hard work, qualified for this trip, and that's how we met. And we just got on like a house on fire. So, and her story was like, when she was young, it all began, she got her first dog, Beagle, age 12, fell in love with it, and basically that was her mission. She now wants to help the humans, because everyone's holding the leash, and the dog at the end of the leash. But we also need to work out, we want to help the dogs, but also help the ones who are holding the leash. Okay. So she's been doing this for 50 years in dog training. That's lots of competitions. I think today she was training some people as well. She's all about canine health through nutrition and nutrigenomics, and also human health, because she wants to, if you can help the dogs, you can help the humans. So I'm going to hand it back over to Lydiane, and hopefully you can take it from there.
Thank you, Phil. So yes, we love doing these together because we decided to marry both things. So everything that Phil explained about the body of a mammal applies exactly the same for our dogs. And what he said was really right. Our dogs are in a very, very disadvantageous position. The statistics now for dogs are that every 50% of dogs over 10 years old will be diagnosed with cancer. And the cancer rate is 1 in 1.65 dogs will be diagnosed with cancer during their lifetime. And my own humble opinion is that it is due to this massive toxic load. We're virtually living in a toxic wasteland, and the dogs, because they walk barefoot, because they lick their fur, because it's a much smaller body, because of all the pharmaceuticals and the commercial dog food that they're on, we're really, really doing something that is really affecting their health. So uh, as of late, there's several different very well-known holistic vets that are trying to understand this approach and getting people to understand that we have to make some changes so that we can change so that these horrific stats for dogs have stopped. And of course, food is very, very important. That's a whole different topic. I can talk to that till the cows come home. But today we decided to focus on the supplements. So this is probably my all-time favorite. It's called The Forever Dog. It's written by a vet, and Rodney Habib, who's not a vet, but he did a documentary on cancer in humans, and then they did it also for dogs. So they interviewed all these vets all around the world, holistic vets, and they, trying to find out, like, why do you think dogs are getting sick with these horrible diseases at the rate that they're doing? So, of course, the solution, besides food, which is very important, is supplements. Because like what Phil explained, supplements are there because we're trying to put a little band-aid. We're trying to make up for deficiencies in the food, for also clean up all this garbage that we're getting from the environment. So this is the list of just the basics that they recommend for maintenance. So this is not even considering that your dog gets sick. This is what they consider the minimum that we should be adding to our dog's food to hopefully maintain a healthy lifespan for as long as possible. So what I did when I saw that list, I was like, oh my God, like, how do we do this? So I did some research, and I went online and said, okay, if I want to, because then there's the other thing that we haven't touched, but I think it's important. When you go to supplements, whatever supplement, supplement X, maybe you can find it for $20 and maybe you can find it for $120. So obviously the range there of prices, in my opinion, indicates that the quality has to be different. But how do I know? So that's a whole different topic. Also the dosages, like how much should I give? Uh, that's also, you do have a recommended dose, but I think there's a lot of guesswork there, right? So what I did is I said, okay, an average of a 50-pound dog, how much would I have to give him? How much would it cost me a month? So those numbers that you see there, 50, 37, 45, 42, 45, 25, 40, and 15, are the basic, the core supplements that they recommend. That would amount to $230 to $270 per month for a 50-pound dog. Now, mind you, I have 4 dogs that are over 50 pounds. So that means that I would be spending close to $1,000, not even counting food, just to give my dogs what these top of the line holistic vets think our dogs require to not, become sick with all these horrible diseases. So let's go to the next slide. So we're talking about the supplement swap, right? So what are the things that all these supplements that what they contain? That resveratrol is one of the things that Phil mentioned. Curcumin, the quercetin, the glutathione, and the nicotinamide, riboside, lion's mane, which is a mushroom, probiotics, essential fatty acids, and also prebiotics. So if we do a swap, right, all of that is covered in some way, shape, or form by these activators. So like Phil likes to say, the skateboard, the bicycle, or the Ferrari. So these are my options. So there is the NRF2 activator. There's also a canine formula. We're not going to be discussing dosage here. We can do that a little bit in the Q&A if someone has questions, or just get back to the person who invited you. We'll help you sort this out. But if you just added the NRF2, you're going to be it's going to do what all these things on the left are doing. It would only cost you $34 a month. And I have erred on the size of a little on the upside, okay, for a 50-pound dog. Now, if I added the NRF1, which now you know how important it is for the mitochondria, it would jump up to 58. And if we added another one called NAD, which we haven't talked a lot about, but NAD is about activating some proteins called sirtuins that are linked to longevity, and also cellular cleanup, and also kind of maintaining your DNA like spick span, so that there's when the cells are copying each other, there's no mistakes in the replication. So that's very, very important. And also getting rid of things that are not functioning well in the cell. The cell has like a little waste disposal system, and that can get messed up too. So if you wanted to add that on top of all that, it would go to $77 a month. So we go to the next slide. The other two things that are very, very important, this is also for humans, is pre and probiotics and omega oils. So what do we need to look for? So for the probiotics, these are the good bacteria. So you want to pick one that's specifically for dogs, because we have slightly different strains of bacteria. You want it to have sufficient colony forming units so that they are doing something. And it usually has to be in the billions for moderate to large dogs. You need a good delivery system that will survive the acids of the stomach. And you need prebiotics, which is food for the probiotics. So if you just give probiotics, but you don't feed them, it's like if you planted your garden and then you didn't put any good soil or any little fertilizer, your veggies wouldn't grow, or they would be tiny, or they would wilt, or they would be attacked by all the bugs and stuff. And then it's ideal if they're formulated by a vet or have some sort of seal for veterinary use. And then the fish oils or the omegas, you can also use plant-based, but I think dogs being carnivores, I think the fish oils are better. And you want them to have between 500 and 100 milligrams per serving. You want some third-party testing. This is super important, because if the fish oil is contaminated with mercury, you're doing more harm than good. So, and the smaller cold water fishes are usually have less contamination. So aside from those other supplements, we would need that. Now, if you want to go to low cost to feed those little good bacteria, in the probiotics, you can do it naturally. You can do it with food. You don't have to go to the health food store and buy something. So things like dandelion root, cooked sweet potatoes and pumpkins, light green bananas, organic apples, you do have to take the seeds out, and organic cooked oats, all those. You don't have to give a lot. You can give them like 3 times a week. Once, if the level of probiotic is okay, we feed a little bit, and they'll reproduce and they'll do great. And for homemade probiotics, if you use yogurt or kefir for yourself, if it's homemade, so that it's not, because when it's pasteurized in the supermarket, then all the the bacteria are there when they make it, but then when they pasteurize it, they're dead. So you can also, at the farmer's market, you can usually get raw and pasteurized goat's milk, raw green tripe, which smells awful, but the dogs love it, and also raw fermented veggies. And you can actually learn how to do that yourself and then do them for yourself, and it's great. So these are low cost, so this would add a little bit of cost. So we can go on to the next slide. So what I did is now I added, and then we have the free variety, which is even better, which is just letting you know, we call it a sniffari, which is take your dog to a clean place. You don't want to go to I don't know, golf course that has been sprayed with pesticides to keep the grass really pretty. But if you have a little a little wooded area close to you, or some of the trails in the natural parks that a lot of them now allow dogs, and you can let your dogs just sniff around, they will take in a lot of the good bacteria just from sniffing around. And then I see it a lot in my students, like people just run, like every time the dog pick like a little leaf or a little branch, let them eat that stuff. That stuff is full of good bacteria. And so if they're plucking little pieces of grass and eating that, all of that, I think they instinctively know what they're doing. And then you can do scavenger hunt for food and treats. And we have a little video. I actually did that for my dogs. I just get a handful of treats and I just, spray them around like a piñata party. And they go out. You'll see them. Do we have the little video, Phil? So you can see them there. I just spread a bunch of trees, and they can spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I've even heard some of the vets say, like, get a can of sardines and just like, spread it out and let them go and lick it. So the dogs have very, very powerful, not only the acid of the stomach, but they have a lot of bacteria that can take care of things that would make us sick. They have it in their mouth. It wouldn't make us sick. So this is another way, like if you don't want to spend a lot of money, you could do it that way. So the benefits that we're having, right, is all the antioxidant defense, the upregulating glutathione, which the glutathione taken as supplements is very doubtful that the absorption process is very, very hard. So it's almost like you're wasting money. So we're reducing oxidative stress, we're protecting the DNA, we're reducing the oxidative stress damage, which is linked to hundreds of thousands of diseases. I was surprised because when I joined LifeVantage, 2013, and we would go to PubMed, you know how many studies on oxidative stress? 180,000. So in, like, what is it, 10 years, 200,000 more studies almost on oxidative stress. So that's how important it is. The liver detoxification is just amazing. I have had so many dogs with liver values like literally off the charts, like ready to die pretty much, and we brought them back. Anti-inflammatory, slowing down aging, the mitochondrial protection, enhancing cellular energy, protection against chronic diseases, reducing risk and progression of neurodegenerative diseases, which dogs get too. They're getting now little like dementia and things like that because of all the toxins. And it may also protect against cardiovascular diseases. So all of that is just with the NRF2. Just one supplement, you get all that protection. That's also for you, remember. Now, if you add the NRF1, now we're producing new mitochondria, we're repairing the DNA, and more neuroprotection. And if you wanted like the Ferrari, then you can do the NAD, which would boost longevity and more cellular cleanup, which is so important. So now if we do the math, like the final math, if we do the supplement swap, so we could have 34, 58, 77 compared to 232, 270. And do we have another slide? Yes, if you pay for the probiotics, like you go to the store and buy them, and the little bit that you would add on the food, I think this would be a pretty decent average. Again, I want to stress that I think this is on the upper end, because I calculated like if you gave it to the dogs every day. And I really think for the dogs, if you did the NRF1 3 times a week and the NAD a couple of times a week, it would be like gold compared to any other supplements that you can give out there. So like I said, if you're interested, get back to the person who invited you, and we can look at, how many dogs you're feeding. If you want to take this for yourself, there's lots of combinations, there's lots of different bundles, and we can help you bring it to a price that everybody can benefit. So back to you, Phil.
Is there any questions? More than happy to take them if I don't know them, because I've done everything. Jones, my little sidekick here, can save us. The one thing I did want to mention, NAD. The way I like to explain the three, and like the easier way, think of NRF2 as like flushing the toilet in the house. NRF1 is the power board, and NAD is taking everything, all of the waste, and sending it out the sewage system. So that's another easy way to sort of understand it. So that's the way. NAD is a big thing. Everyone's talking about M&N. It's the same thing. NAD is the main one you're going for. And basically that cleans up cellular waste and basically gets your body into autophagy within 24 to 48 hours. Everyone's talking about autophagy, a lot of people can't handle it. So that's why the combination is great. And it's a skateboard, the bicycle, and the Porsche or Ferrari, depending what you're looking at there. So hope you guys learned something there. It's nice to have some cameras on there. So by all means, if you've got any questions you want to ask, fire away. If you unmute yourself, or just type it in the chat.
So Billy had a question that she didn't know that dogs can take NRF1 and NAD as well. Yes, they can. But like I said, I think if you do there's a very, very interesting thing about NRF1, not NRF1, about the mitochondria, is that they did some experiments where they took the nucleus of a cancerous cell and they put it in the nucleus of a healthy cell, and the cell remained healthy. But when they took the mitochondria of the cancerous cell and put it into a normal cell, the cell became cancerous. It's in a test tube, it's in a little petri dish, but we're just a bigger petri dish. So there's science backing up that there is a huge metabolic component to cancer. And part of that cleanup, is when that is faulty, that can also lead to tumor creations and things like that. So I'm not saying that if you take this, you're never going to get cancer, your dog's never going to get cancer. But the science is there supporting that if we can get the body to work so that all these functions can be coordinated again and kind of like jump-started and restarted again, especially if you're starting with an older dog, I think the health benefits can be outstanding. They really can be. So there's lots of different layers that we haven't covered. And I think this is just the most brilliant and easiest way to give your cells the most potent tools to stay healthy for as long as possible. And if you're already fighting a disease, then maybe you do need other things. With the dogs, you would need other things specifically to bring them back to health, and then hopefully after that you can taper it down. I don't know, Phil, do you have other ideas on this?
I think it's just a matter of just really just testing it and looking at your budget, what makes sense. I'm always a big fan about that. Start somewhere. If it's just NRF2 or Pet Tandem, I know in Australia and New Zealand, we don't have Pet Tandem. It's only in the US market. So that's why the NRF2 is great. I give it to my crazy cat. It's calmed himself down. He actually likes me, doesn't attack me anymore. So, which is a good thing. So yeah, I mean, we just give him a small amount of it and just flick him in and off he goes. So it's helped our pets. Like I always say, the person holding the lead also needs to be looked after. That's why Lillian and I sort of work together doing this. So it's super cool. So hopefully you guys, any other questions? I'm just looking through here.
Yeah, I'm looking
quickly.
at the chat. So Carolee asked, with NAD, would you start slowly? I would start slowly with everything. If you have a sick dog, I would start slowly with everything. And I think the same thing with a sick person. And actually, I've heard this from several doctors in LifeVantages. If you have lots of health challenges, heal your gut first. So I would take care of the pre and probiotics, get your gut health, and start with the NRF2, then add the NRF1, and then add the NAD. I actually only give NAD to my old dog. She's 15 and 3 months and counting. She's a Labrador Retriever, which is, so she gets it on and off. I don't think we have to overdo, but I would never skip the NRF2, and now she's getting NRF1 almost daily just because of her age. And then the other question is when to start a puppy and which products. That's a very interesting question, Jean, because it happened to me. My last puppy, who's now 2.5, but when he was a puppy, I was taking him to the vet for his 3 months checkup, and the vet, who is a LifeVantage distributor, very matter-of-factly says, like, you already have him on NRF2. And I'm like, no, he's like a 3-month-old puppy. And then she's like, no, start right now. Prevention. I'm like, okay, we're starting right now. And later I came up with a study, and if anybody's interested, I'll be happy to email it to you. So they did a study at the University of California in Davis, comparing, because they've mapped the human genome and the dog genome. So they have some aging markers that are the same, some methyl groups or some biochemical thing. It doesn't matter. But they're looking at those markers. So in dogs, they age exponentially. So by the time your dog is, I think, 1 year old, he's equivalent to a 30-year-old person. So the curve goes like that. And then it kind of slows down. So when they get to be 10, they're like 60 years old. So then it slows down. But what it means is the first 4 years of your dog's life are crucial. Like if you cannot let this oxidative stress and all these toxins, I think what's killing the dogs is the toxins. If you can keep that at bay, your chances of having a healthier, longer lifespan is just it's going to be exponential, really. So I started my puppy at 3 months, and that's what I would do now for all the puppies.
I remember that one of the other webinars we did, you had given me a snapshots of blood work. You remember that?
Yes.
Way back when, and how the liver function changed so dramatically. So,
and now I have another dog with the same, 3 dogs actually with the same. And what's interesting in dogs is they start throwing up and not wanting to eat. So of course people panic, they take them to the vet, they do a blood work, and then the liver values are like off the roof. And then they have no clue, because these are not stray dogs eating, junk. These are well cared for dogs that have their food every day, no stress. These are people that are taking optimal care of their animals. And out of the blue, we start with this. And it's not out of the blue. It's these progressive accumulation of these toxins that we don't see. They're there, they're in their environment. And that's what causes the issue. And then you take them to the vet. It's like, oh, there's a scientific name for it, or a medical name. It's like, we don't know what caused this, but, the liver enzymes are off the roof. And then they put them on some pharmaceutical, they change the diet, they want to put them on a veterinary diet, and here we go. Then they want to do a liver biopsy, then they want to do this, and then $3,000 later, we may have a dead dog, or he miraculously slowly recovered, maybe when the toxins left his system. But we've had dogs that have turned around in a matter of, a week or two, just to almost normal liver values, when they were like 200 times what they should have been. So this just speaks volume to the power of your own cells being able to do the work. Because it's not the pill, I guarantee you. It's our own bodies that's the power of the activation versus supplementing. Is because now we've empowered the cells to do what they are able to do, to produce all these anti-inflammatory enzymes, to get rid of the oxidative stress, to be able to make more of the enzymes that can get rid of all the toxins. And now the body can start working well again.
I know we've gone way over time. It's just a quick question. There's a question about dosages there. Half an NRF2 per tandem per 50 pounds. But obviously if they're smaller, you would change it up. But then also for folk in, I suppose in US, you guys have got pet tandem. I know you're more of a fan of the pro tandem NRF2 as opposed to pet tandem in some cases from a cost point of view. You want to share more a bit about that?
Yeah, so the math that we've done, and actually when I joined the company, I think Dr. McCord, who's the formulator, was still around, and people were actually able to go to him and ask him directly. So when we supplement, like let's say I'm going to put a silly example with a pharmaceutical. Like if you take aspirin for a headache, it says for an adult so much, for a person under 12 so much, right? So we tend to think like if you're big, you take more, if you're little, you take less. With activation, once the cell, that NRF2 protein gets activated, it's like turning on a switch. So it's on, you can't turn it more on. So it's on. So what we're trying to do is give enough product to activate the cell, but not give so much that you're wasting product. So, and Carolee does a lot with horses, and some horses do well with one pill, like a human, because think of like that. We turn on the light. So we kind of did the math like it was a supplement, which it's not. And we say, well, if a person takes one whole pill, which is normally is going to be over 150 pounds. Well, if we give half a pill to a 50-pound dog, it's going to be more than enough. So I only advocate for one whole pill for a dog if it's a huge dog, like 120 pounds, or if they're like super ill, like, kind of on their deathbed kind of thing, and it's like a last resort. And for horses, the same thing. They'll do 2 pills twice a day, then they go to 1 and 1 or 1.5 and 1.5, and they start lowering it, and then they may maintain with just one a day. I think Carolee's horses maintain with one a day, but they've been activated for a long, long time. So that's the logic. Now, in the US, because we have the pet tandem has another benefit, which is it has collagen and it also has some omegas. So you wouldn't even have to give the omegas. But it's up to 29 pounds. You can do the math in kilos. But it really doesn't make any sense because you can't get it anyway. So my logic is, if you have 2 little dogs, if you have a dog even up to 35 pounds, I think they'll do well with one pet tandem. But if you have, like I have, 4 big dogs, so they would need 2 pills, so I would need 8 bottles a month. So it's just so much easier for me to just give them half a pro tandem each. So that's where the math to all this came. And ultimately, if you have a lot of animals and you're taking it yourself and you want to save a little bit of money, you can do every other day. You can do a third of a pill. You can play with it a little bit. If you're taking it for maintenance, you're good. If you have some sort of crisis, like once the crisis is done, just play with it a little bit and see, because then all you want is maintenance. And if your animal is doing good, I have a case now of a dog who was with a shoulder limp, and it wouldn't go away, wouldn't go away, wouldn't go away. We put him on this. They did a little laser treatment. He came to class today, and he's like, goal, where he had been limping like for 2 months. And so I told the lady, well, give him another month. It hasn't even been a month, and he's doing great. And I said, give him another month full dose, and then just go to half a pill and see what happens. And then if he starts limping, then you bump it again. So don't be afraid. Like Phil said, this is food. Don't be afraid. You're not going to overdose anyone. My dog has stolen and eaten a whole bottle of Pitandem twice. So we can't overdose. We're just trying to help you so that you're not wasting product, and we can help you so that, because we want you to give it to everyone you love in your life. So the more we can stretch it, the better.
Lilia, just a quick question. Someone's asking here, can we give our dogs collagen if we cannot get pet tandem?
I've done that too. I give my dogs everything, Axio, collagen. I mean, I know these are great products. I understand the science behind it. I trust the company that they're clean products. Because that's the other thing that we didn't touch much on it, Phil. But when I was doing that research to see how much things would cost, I would find things for $12 and then things for 75. I mean, it's not a difference of a few dollars. It's like, you know, $50, $60. So I go like, so if I get the $12 one, like, what am I really getting? Like, is it the real thing? So that's the other problem with supplements, is that how can you be 100% sure that what is in the bottle, what they're saying is in there, is it contaminated? How do they process it? To me, it's so much guesswork. And like Phil said, our products is just a tiny amount, and it's the activation, what they in turn have the cell do. So it's our own internal pharmacy. It's the cells producing the things. You're not allergic to your own things that your body makes. You're not allergic to your hormones. You're not allergic to your, right? So it's your body making the stuff that makes your body. So don't be afraid to try these. Don't be afraid. Just try them and take a video of your dog, take a video of yourself. You'll see how you feel. And we're funny because with dogs, I love it with dogs because there's no placebo. Like, people give it to their dogs and they go like, whoa, like, look what happened. And the dog doesn't know what he's taking. So it's like, it works. So don't be afraid and don't think you can overdose. Just try to work with someone that will help you get the appropriate dose so that you're not giving more than you need to, just so that you can save money, is the bottom line.
I like what Joan said there, she's going to come back as a dog with a Leanne because get the collagen and all the other products. It's so funny. But Joan also said one thing really important here is that never take NRF1 on its own, take NRF2. So you
Oh,
want to
yes,
take
that's
NRF2
super
first to
important.
reduce. You can take obviously together, or again, it's affordability to start always with two. I wish they would just make it like in sequential order, 1 and 2. Like NRF2 is 1 tablet and NRF2 is 2 caps. Oh, sorry, NRF2 is 1 tablet and NRF1 is 2 capsules. I mean, I'm dyslexic. It's so confusing.
But it's
But
because
then,
it's the biochemical name, because NRF2 stands for,
correct.
I know
Yeah.
a name
Nuclear
like
factor 2. Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's, I mean, we could talk all day. I mean, we do want to run another webinar in another couple of weeks. We'll give you guys more notice on that one as well. But the bottom line is that it's what I like about this here is that the supplement symmetry, as I call it, to your body to break down all those things, it's a lot of stress. And the big thing for me, if I take one thing or 2 or 3 tablets, capsules, whatever have you, as opposed to 10, 15, or 20, it's way better. Your liver can actually love you. It doesn't have to do so much work to break it down. And I was actually on a call with another lady. She was going from the US to another country. She's got to take 30 things a day. I said to her, what are you doing? Like, are you serious? I mean, she goes, and my hand luggage is full. I've got to declare all these things. I said, you look like a drug peddler. And when I told her, I said, what if we can take these? Because when I look at the supplement switch or supplement SWOT, what I do, I go, give me all the things you're taking and where can NRF1, NRF2, NAD fit in there? And 95% of the time, I pretty much got everything covered. And she goes, great, I'll rather take that. Take one little bottle because we just add them all. She's going there for 7 days. We just add what she needs for 7 days, one bottle, off she goes. So much easier. So to me, it's cost effective, it's easier to do. And another thing is that your body's not taking so much stress trying to break these things down. So that's why I love that was one of the biggest things about Canada Life Advantage, because you want to shake somebody around, it's like a baby toy with all the things you're taking, you're rattling. So yeah, that's really where if there's anything else you want to add to that, Lilian, we can call it a wrap. I know we will take this and we will take the recording and get it out, and then
settle a
with
little
the
bit.
yeah. And again, at the end of the day, I mean, we're just talking products only. There is another aspect of the business, which is if you want to share it like Lilian and I do, get back to personal biology here, and I can also talk about that as well. So yeah, cool.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Phil.
no problem.
Bye.
See you guys soon. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye.